Hey everybody, I'm Mr. X. Welcome to my channel. Recently, one of the members of our channel, we have a monthly membership, he reached out to me and he said, hey, I'm getting in the new Legendary Beast 1/3 scale Captain America. Do you want it? What? Thank you so much, Jerry. I can't believe you just gave me a statue. I greatly appreciate it. Welcome to the Extreme Channel. After some clarification, Jerry just wanted me to review the statue. And I think he does that so we can meet up locally, because every time we do, I end up buying a lot of beers. But now that I have this piece in front of me, definitely worth it, because I was really on the fence about this piece. So this is officially Captain America 1/3 scale. It's a collaboration between Legendary Beast Studios and XM Studios. And this is the start of their 1/3 Marvel line. 1/3 means that in real life, Captain America would be 3 times bigger. I wasn't interested in this line because I don't collect 1/3 Marvel. I have to draw the hashtag restraint line somewhere. And I wasn't particularly interested in this piece at all because Captain America is not one of my favorite characters. However, they do have 2 other characters they've shown that I really like. The first one is this Magneto right here. 1/3 scale, looks amazing, taken from one of my favorite comic book covers. This looks awesome. Also, they have this amazing Thor that they've shown, and this looks amazing, especially the base. I'm a big fan. So I think Jerry kind of sabotaged me. While I don't want this piece, it is amazing. Kind of a spoiler for the review. So it may cost me more than just a few beers. I may end up buying both of the 1/3 Magneto and Thor. Into the review. So before we jump into the review, we're actually doing some giveaways. First, make sure you comment on this video sometime during the video. On the 15th of every month, we pick 2 random videos and 2 random comments, and those people win extreme prizes or extrizes shipped to them wherever they're at in the world. Also, we're very close to our next statue giveaway. On our road to 20,000 subs, we are giving out this Mortal Kombat statue at 12,500 subs. All you have to do is make sure you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, and you've hit that bell notification, and stay tuned for that giveaway. So let's jump into the extreme review, and we're going to start with concept as we always do. Now, this is a very simplistic statue, but there is a lot going on, and some of what's going on has to do with the design and the switch outs we're going to look at when we get to the design section of the review. However, nonetheless, let's take a look at Captain. He is sitting here on a classic all-American starred eagle base. You have stars running along the bottom. It's this bronze aspect. It's this gold bronze color we'll look at during paint, and has a huge eagle. Obviously, the eagle is the mascot of America. Very ties into Captain America. Very ties into the patriotism that this statue shows. And as you move up, he is in what we call a museum pose. A museum means you're kind of posing for a picture. You're not in the middle of any dynamic action. And as you move up, he has the classic Captain uniform on. And there's so much cool stuff going on with paint and sculpt we'll come back to. It actually really does appear that he is posing for a picture, maybe a publicity photo, maybe, to get the troops motivated. Here, he doesn't really look like he's in battle. His uniform is decently clean. He doesn't have any guns or anything on him. There are a few other weapons on his ammo pack we're going to look at. He has the shield in the right hand, which is one of the design options you can change. And he has 2 different portrait options we'll look at, but they're both very stoic, very calm, very confident. And it's really hard.
That's what she said.
Because there are definitely some design things we're going to talk about that change the concept of the statue a little bit. So with this guy, I love it. I really like it. Realistically, you don't see a lot of Captain Americas that have a huge action dynamic pose. I think, to my knowledge, this is the first 1/3 scale, and I think the presence of it alone really amplifies the statue, the fact that he is in a museum pose. This looks like a statue that belongs in a museum, something you would see if you were going to an exhibit or an event. So I like it a lot. I think that's the perfect... I think Captain sells himself without trying to go over the top. So this is so simple, yet it's so powerful. I think the concept's a 4 out of 5, or a rail, so not a grail, but a statue you'd really want. I think they did a great job on this. I think it really exemplifies that sometimes less is more. However, that's not the case with the design. There is so much going on here. So let's start with the unboxing. Standard shipper box, looks just like your normal XM Studios. And then here is the top of the art box, kind of neat. And I did have a damage on the art box, but it also says Captain America Limited Edition on the sides. Has your typical strap, so even though this is Legendary Beast, it looks like XM Studios, with 2 different layers, and all the different switch outs inside. And then it does come with a manual, and this isn't really an assembly manual, even though it tells you how to assemble it, but it also gives some background on the character. So, since this was somebody else's statue, I wanted to make sure that I was extra careful. Whoa! Now, one thing we'll talk about in a little bit, but there are actually 2 holes on the base, and only 1 peg. And 2 different torsos, and it's just the upper torso, not the lower torso. Now he does have 2 different head sculpts that both work on both torsos. However, one of them does look in a different direction than the other. There's 5 or 6 different arm options depending on which torso you're using. They are specific to each torso. So as far as dimensions on this guy, he's about 33 inches tall, just over 14 inches wide, and just under 15 inches deep. So you saw a lot of the switch outs during the unboxing and during the turntable, but there's some explanation that's needed for some of them. So let's check it out. First, let's look at his classic portrait. And initially, I thought I liked this better. We'll look at close-up pictures with paint and sculpt. But one thing about this is he looks off into the distance. He's kind of looking slightly up and to the right, which will come into play in a minute or so. And here's the more modern portrait. I actually do like this mask better with the straps on the bottom and the feathers that are kind of etched in there instead of sticking out. And here he's looking very forward. And as you saw the 2 different torsos, I like that they did this because there's not nasty seam lines on the shoulder blades. But this one right here, this is your only display option other than the portraits. You have to have his finger pointing out. There is no other option. And the shield has to be on the left hand. Now the issue I just talked about, if you use the classic portrait on this, check this out. He is pointing forward but looking up and to the right. I don't like that. I'm not a fan. So to me, you have to use the modern portrait on this. It's the only way to display it. However, the other torso has a ton of switch out options. Either portrait will work well on this one. You can have the shield in the right hand. You can have it in the left hand. Or you can have it on his back. Now, if you have it on his back here, now if you don't want it on his back, he has a star you can put in place so there isn't any nasty keyhole showing. And then the hands that you choose not to have it in are just closed fists, which is very Captain, I think. Now, the other crazy thing they did, which I was really impressed, you see right here, he is sitting on the front of the base. The base actually has 2 peg holes, but the peg is only on 1 foot. So that means you can actually display him facing the back of the base as well. Very impressed. So I could definitely see some people attacking the other torso, the one I don't have displayed, that you only have one option, but at least you have that option. They gave so many cool different switch out options for this. I think that's a huge plus to the design. Everything fit together really well. There was no issues, no breakages, there's no seam lines. A little bit where his portrait comes in, but there would be naturally the way his uniform is done. So honestly, I can't find anything wrong with the design. So I think the design's a 5 out of 5. It doesn't blow me away by any means, but like I said, I can't think of anywhere to improve it. Now we're going to dive into the paint and sculpt on this piece, and XM Studios, in collaboration of course with Legendary Beasts, did it again. This is fantastically done, kind of a spoiler. Let's start at the base. So I love the color they used on this. Not only the browns and golds and coppers, but it looks faded and brand new at the same time. It's very cool how they did that, and it definitely looks like a monument or the top of a building. I love how they put the stars on the bottom. Again, more patriotism to it. The eagle looks very cool right up front or back, depending on how you want to display it. The top of this looks like buildings of that time period of, Captain back in World War II. They use this black top coating on the buildings. You kind of see this in parking lots today. Great texture on here, great coloring. Captain looks awesome. Just look at these boots. There's a ton going on here. I love the color they use. So it's this kind of really dark maroon red mix of colors with this black shadowing in there, and there's so much stitching and laces. These look awesome, and I think very reminiscent of work boots, soldier boots of the time. For the sculpt, at least, the sculpt is amazing, very well done. I love the flaps at the top. Same thing with his suit. His suit looks awesome. There's some great texture on it. You have these seams and pads and folds and creases throughout, and you can see the musculature of Cap right underneath. Very, as you know, Cap, very strong, muscular, athletic guy. Very, very cool. His package is probably a little bit smaller than we expected it to be, but just look around this. So much cool stitching and sculpt and texture. And let's look at America's ass for sure. Without a doubt. Let's take a look at his belt and all the pouches. This is phenomenal. His belt looks like a real belt. It really does. I love the coloring they use, the faded copper colors, the brown, and then kind of a different color brown for the pouches, whether they hold his canteen or there's a grenade on the side, some larger, some smaller ones. The texture on this is very cool, the folds in it. So the bottom of his torso, he has the classic American stripe. This does look a little bit dirtier, but not battle dirty. I think it's great texture, and you can kind of see his abs underneath it. The red, white with some more black shadowing. His gloves, very similar to his boots. Kind of this crack-like texture, some pads on his knuckles. His sleeves are very similar to his pants, except they're white, so I love the contrast of that, the red, white, and blue. He has some elbow pads on the back, some great texture, and you can see the muscle as well. And then as you move up to the classic Captain outfit on the top, kind of that fish scale type outfit that are just stacked on top of each other with the star in the middle. Here's his shield. Now some of the shields look a little more battle worn than others. I found that interesting. This one's decently clean. Quick shot of the back of his torso. And then I like the uniform around his neck here. It's kind of a different texture that you see anywhere else on the statue. Here's his classic portrait. Again, I keep saying the word texture over and over because there's this tiny little texture on the sides of it. The top is very smooth. The A is really done well, stitched in. Same with the wings, the classic Captain wings coming out of the sides. The skin tone I think is great. They did a really nice job. His expression, it looks a little boring, but I like that for Captain, so I think they did well. Great sculpt around his nose, his eyes, the paint job's well done, his lips. And there's not really a lot of difference in the modern one, other than some of the straps on the bottom. And there's not too much difference on the face. His expression's a little bit different. You have some lines on the sides of his face. His eyes are a little bit more pinched in, like he's a little more focused. Then check out his helmet here. So still has the A, the wings are a different style and they're etched in, but then he's got these buckled straps. The texture is not on this like it is on the other one. Yeah, I definitely like this more modern one better. Very impressed by this piece. Both the paint and sculpt are superb. I'm trying to find reasons why they're not perfect or what I would change. And because this is my rating system, I can do it however I want, but I'm going to give both the paint and sculpt a 4 out of 5. Really well done. And it's maybe because I don't have such attachments to the character that I'm not rating it higher, but I could definitely see it being an X as well. So let's talk about value on this piece. He's brand new. So he was 1,600 Singapore dollars, which is about 1,200 US, plus I imagine shipping's a couple $100 to the US. Like I said, I didn't pay for this one, so I don't know. This actually belongs to Jerry if you're just tuning in late. Edition size of 388, so very small edition size. With 1/3 scales, there's not as many buyers because simply they do take up a lot more room. So I think the value is fair on this one. You know, it's $1,200. A lot of 4 scales are running that, but you're probably paying about $200 to $300 shipping. So I think about $1,500. I think that's a good value. It's 3 out of 5. It's very good. So does this statue have the X factor? What's the overall score? And I think I'd be a fool to say that I would give him an X. I won't give him an X because I'm not in love with Captain America. But I could definitely see some other people giving him a 5 out of 5. He is a fantastic statue. At a minimum, he's a 4 out of 5 for me as an overall statue. I'm really impressed by him. Like I said, I think Legendary Beast Studios and XM Studios came out of the gate extremely strong. Anyone who got this is going to be very happy with it. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Let me know what you think of this statue. Do you think he's a perfect statue, 5 out of 5? Make sure, if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that Mr. X logo and check out some of these other XM Studios statue reviews. Otherwise, I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Take care.